Guten Morgen, third grade. Time for lesson 95 on your math instructional video. Two-step problems about fractions of a group. So this is kind of a little bit of a continuation on yesterday's because we had two-step word problems with multiplication and division yesterday. We're going to build on that today when we're using fractions of a group. So the objectives are solve multi-step word problems to find a fraction of a group and draw a diagram to find a fraction of a group. Now, you can't just do it with the first objective, and drawing a diagram is just another option for you that helps you illustrate things and figure them out easier. Some people are more visual learners. I will show you both ways to figure out a fraction of a group. This goes with the reteaching worksheet 95, and it says two-step word problems about fractions of a group. And at the top of that worksheet, they have some reminders for you. So they have, sometimes it takes 2 steps or operations to find a fraction of a group when the total is already known. And that builds on what we did yesterday with two-step word problems. Remember, divide by the denominator or the bottom number of the fraction to find the number in one part, just that one part. Remember, because technically a fraction is a division problem. Not that line that is separating, that's called a division bar or a fraction bar. And then multiply the numerator or the top number by that fraction that I found out by dividing by the denominator in order to find the number of more than one group. So they gave you a little illustration here. Remember the rule we used to find a fraction of a group. The number in each group times the number of groups equals your total. And in some of these problems, we know the total, so we need to find the pieces first. So they give you an example. I'm going to erase my whiteboard. I'm going to use it to help work on cubes first with that problem, and then I'm going to go back to solving on my whiteboard. So still have my magnets from the video yesterday, but I did that earlier today. I'm doing a couple of them. I promise I'll change my shirt for tomorrow's video. All right, so we're going to go through the example problem in a little bit more detail than they do in your worksheet. I've got a hair that keeps getting in my eye. I'm tickling my nose. All right, so the example problem. At a concert, 7/8 of the audience wore wristbands. If there were 5,600 people in the audience, how many wore wristbands? So I'm going to do cubes. It's going to be a little bit more simplified because I'm going to be needing to do some more creative stuff afterwards. So C in cubes, circle numbers and units and labels. So I am going to circle 5,600 people. I'm going to circle 7/8. You underline your question. How many people wore wristbands? B, box keywords. Now, the keyword that I am going to box is audience right here at the bottom because that's telling me that's my total. And there is no extra information to eliminate. We're not going to overcomplicate things. None of the problems on your worksheet today will have extra information to eliminate. Then I'm ready to solve. So remember it said that first we need to divide by the denominator to figure out the number in each group. So I'm going to go back to my whiteboard because I can illustrate things a little bit larger on my whiteboard than on that worksheet that doesn't show up too well. So the total is going to be my dividend. There were 5,600 people at the concert. So I'm going to have 5,600 in my division box. That's my dividend. Now my divisor is going to be my denominator. 7/8 wore wristbands. My denominator is 8. So I'm going to divide by 8. And then I'm going to go through my division steps, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, bring back. So 5 divided by 8, I'm going to use a placeholder here. I'm going to put a tiny 0 up there at the top. 0 times 8. 0 property tells me 0 times any number is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5. I'm going to bring down the 6. Now I have 56 divided by 8. 56 is a multiple of 8, so that's going to divide in evenly. 56 divided by 8 is 7. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 minus itself is 0. Bring down the 0. 0 divided by 8, 0. 0 divided by 8, 0. So 1/8 is going to be 700. The 700 is the number that we needed to find to do the second step of this problem, which is figuring out how many people wore wristbands. 7/8 wore wristbands. 1/8 is going to be 700. So I'm going to write a little 700 here in the corner so I don't forget that. And then I am going to erase this. We're going to do the second part. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can do this. Remember, we had 2 objectives to figure out the 2-step word problem. We could just multiply and divide. We did the division already. We can just multiply and figure that out. Or we can draw a diagram. I'm going to show you now 2 ways to do the second step of this problem. So on your worksheet, it said multiply the numerator by the number for one part. So there's 700 would be 1/8. 1/8 equals 700 people. I could multiply those 700 people by 7 because I want to find what 7/8 would be, not 1/8. And I can do mental math for that. 7 times 7 is 49, plus my 2 zeros added onto the end. 4,900 people. Now, if you're a more visual person, I can draw this out too. What I could do is I could say, okay, I'm thinking about 8. So I'm going to draw out 8. So I've got this divided into 8. I've got my diagram divided into 8 pieces. And each one of those is going to have 700 people. 700, 700, 700, 700. Now, how many of those 8s did I want for my answer? How many were wearing wristbands? 7 of those 8 were wearing wristbands. So now I have that illustrated, and I can either do repeated addition and add 700 7 times, or then I can go back and do my multiplication. 700 times 7 equals 4,900 people. I want to label that. You have 2 more problems on the worksheet. They're both 2-step problems, and there's plenty of space at the bottom of the worksheet if diagrams are what are easier for you to do. Repeated addition or multiplication will both work for you. They're technically the same thing. They're just doing the same thing 2 different ways. We will do investigation number 9 tomorrow. That looks like this. It's investigating fractions with manipulatives. So there's a couple pages that go with this investigation, and at the end of the investigation, there are some one-sided sheets that need to be cut out. Make your own manipulatives. So if you wanted to be prepared for tomorrow's video, then you could cut out the worksheets or the one-sided sheets that say halves, quarters or fourths, and I photocopy that upside down, but it doesn't matter because we're cutting it out. 8ths. So that's what we're going to be using for tomorrow's investigation 9.